good to get in. All right, any questions you may have?
Hey, Rich, what did you think of what Daniel gave you on Sunday, and to be able to be in a position with 3 kicks inside the 20, especially at the end there, to kind of pin him back the way he did?
Yeah, gave us, we thought he played well. Obviously, protection was outstanding in the game. I think he had a lot of confidence in the protection. And then, we talked about it a few weeks ago. He just seems to be getting better and better, as each game goes by. And the end of that game was a little bit, in my mind, reminiscent of the Cowboy game a year ago where he pinned him inside the 10 on the last punt as well. And, it's huge when they obviously had no more timeouts and we can set our defense, way down in their territory was big for us. So he'll be expected to play well again this week.
For such a young player, Rich, how's he gotten so good so quickly? I mean, he's only played 20 NFL games.
Well, he played in the league before he got here also, played a whole year there. So he did a lot of work, both off seasons. He was with Mike Cyphers and Nick Novak out there in San Diego, spent a lot of time with those guys that have played in the league for a long time. Mike played a long time. So he's really worked extremely hard at his craft, not only in season, what he's done over the last year and a half with us, but what he's done in the off season to perfect his drop and his hang and his ability to direct the football. So he's a player on the come, and we're excited about the direction he's going in.
Do you think you'll get some opportunities for Keyshawn this week? I know folks only got a few touchbacks, so are they kind of letting things up for the kick coverage?
Well, they obviously, they've given up some returns, in the last 2 games that they've played, and they worked out a lot in the preseason. So we'll just have to see what they decide to do with us. But they've got some on both sides. They've had some opportunities to cover kicks as well, and they've had some opportunities to return some in their last 2 regular season games. So we'll see how it goes in our game.
They've given them a couple punt blocks. What have you seen in that regard?
They've given up a couple blocks. So, but they're NFL players with a lot of pride, and I'm sure they're addressing whatever issues they have. I'm really concerned about what we have to do and what our issues are and what our plan will be going into that game.
Is it easier to get your players to really buy in or believe, I guess, that, hey, you can get a punt block here?
Why don't you say it a little bit louder?
Say it louder.
So is it easier to get your players to have some belief that a punt block is attainable when you do see that on film? And do you see their eyes maybe light up a little bit?
Oh, there was a bunch of other blocks that went on during the course of the last 2 weeks, on other teams. So again, we're going to be concerned about our system, how we work our system, what we're going to do for our plan going into the game, and usually you feel like people correct their mistakes. The blocks haven't been the same 2 weeks in a row; they've been different. So we're just going to kind of concentrate on raking the leaves in our yard and see if we can put a good performance out there on the field.
Rich, speaking of blocks, the deflection on the 1 kick of Braden's, was that on the kick? Was that on the protection? Kind of what happened there?
We got a little bit of push inside, but we got it through, so hit it pretty good. We'll hopefully clean that up this week as well. They got a real good field goal rush team, so big people inside. Good. Thanks, guys.
How's everybody doing? Good. Thanks for coming. All right. What do we got?
They've obviously they've made some mistakes. Is that something that it's probably a dumb question, is that something that you try to attack the quarterback and try to kind of force some more of those just because the track records have been there?
Who are you talking about making mistakes? Yeah. I mean, when we look at him, he's also made some really good plays and some really good throws. If you watch some of the throws he had against the Jets and you watch some of them in the first game against Chicago, he's also made some really nice throws and he's had some really nice runs. And he hasn't played a whole lot of football. And whatever position, there's a lot of mistakes being made on the field early in the season, whether you're on offense, defense, and special teams. So, I mean, we got to go out and we got to worry about our mistakes and we got to worry about getting better every week. And we know we're going to have our hands full with their offense, and he's a big part of it.
The key to being a vision-based defense?
The key to being that's a good question. Rush plus coverage. If you're going to play with vision on the quarterback, your rush has to speed up the quarterback, or if he has time to throw it and guys to run around and get open, that's got to be tied in. So the D-line's got to be going. We got to be hitting our drops right. We got to be on our landmarks, and we got to be playing off of him and anticipating the ball coming out quicker and being able to drive to the ball. And hopefully we force the ball to be thrown in front of us, and we're able to drive and eliminate explosives that way.
Guys on the back end, do you saddle them with a lot of rules so that they can play with vision, or is it the opposite of that where you try to take the rules off and just let them see and react?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. You have rules within every coverage. I'll give you an example. If you're a pattern match team, you're spending a lot of time each week matching routes. If 2 goes in, I do this. If 2 goes out, I do this. If 2 goes up, you always kind of look at 2 in, 2 out, 2 up. Same with 3, right? And you kind of teach route recognition off of things like that. You have rules as a team that plays with vision and break, and some of our coverage we're matching, and some of them we are playing off the quarterback like you're alluding to. Some are based on landmarks on the field, but they're also based on what different people are doing. So there are definitely rules, but there's probably less rules. I think the key to coverage is learning what your issues are and learning how people are going to attack you. And I think the more you see us play, they'll get more and more comfortable with that, and they'll start breaking even faster and making more plays on the football. So I think hopefully that answers your question.
Philosophically, like when you got here the first time, I think it was Matt who asked you, are you going to play man-to-man, bump and run all the time, right? Because that had kind of been what we had heard about you or expected from you. When did you become more of a believer in vision and break, and why is that so much superior? Because we're looking at a defense that's picked off 5 passes in 2 games with almost the same guys, not all of them, as a group that had 7 all year last year.
Yeah, I don't ever want to go back and forth and compare to last year or this year. I mean, we've played 2 games right now. I still love to play man, and I love to play press man. And I think if you turn on our film and you watch it, there's examples and times when we were doing that, and then there's times when we're playing with 2 high safeties, and then there's times we're playing with 1 safety in the middle of the field and we're playing zone. I think it also goes to who you're playing. Who's the quarterback, right? What are they going to do on 3rd down? Is it a team that's going to try to condense you and pick you and rub you? Or is it a team that's going to kind of spread you out and let you get your hands on people and play good man coverage? So you can't just say, I'm going to go in and just be a man team every single week. You got to have answers. And I think as we continue to go and we're on the field more and we get better at what we're doing, and I keep saying this, and we're able to evolve as we really learn each other and get used to playing with each other and get more comfortable with the scheme, you're going to see a little bit more of everything. But I think right now, it's what can our players do best? How are we going to get attacked this week versus last week versus the first week against the Eagles? And it's our job, and I keep saying this, to put our players in position to make plays. I mean, that's the key. So you look at some of these interceptions like last week, we caught them in an area of the field where there was a lot of play action shots, and we center pressure, and Quay did a great job. I mean, Quay disrupted the quarterback, the D-line did, McDuffie kind of followed suit, and I thought the coverage was tight, and X read him, and was in the middle of the field and was able to make a play. Eric Wilson's pick, he was playing with vision on that. He kind of felt the route. He bent inside, quarterback sped up, and he was able to make the play. I still think we should have had more, and I don't say that like, just coach speak. If you turn on the tape, there were opportunities to get the ball more, just like in the first game, and we have to take advantage of that.
With the takeaways, does it almost, if you're getting 2 or 3 a game, does it almost not matter where your numbers are in rush defense or total yards or anything like that? Is the turnovers, is it a masking or is it a, I guess a way of life?
No, no, absolutely not. There is no masking. There's certain areas where we have to play better, and there's certain areas we're playing really good at times, and it's like 4, 5, 6 really good plays, and then all of a sudden there's one that, we need to play better and we need to coach better on, and that goes for a bunch. And then we kind of regroup, and we got to eliminate those ones that are getting out. We are giving up too many explosive plays right now, which goes against the philosophy of our defense. And I think, the more we play, the better we coach, the more we're together, I think you're going to see those go down. The only number that's important to me is if we win or lose the game. I'm not going to be one of these guys up here that sits up here and brags about yards and takeaways and how can we win each game. We needed to play complementary football last week to win. I think that was really important. We had to keep the score down, and we had to get the ball and give it back to our offense. And I think for the most part, we were able to do a pretty good job with that. I don't think they converted a third down until about 2 minutes and 40 seconds in the fourth quarter. So you got to play great on third down. You have to play great in the red zone. We were able to stop them in the red zone and hold them to a field goal. Then we were able to get a TFL that knocked them back, and they missed a field goal. Right? So we have to be great in those situations. The next step is we got to be better on, that 5th, 6th play where we look great, and then we let one out. I mean, that's the stuff that can't happen, and we all need to work on it and fix that. But the only thing that matters to me is winning and losing and getting our players in the best position and seeing them have success and playing at a high level. I'm not going to be a guy that sits here and brags about any yards, any statistic. Personally, that's not important to me.
What have you thought of just the start that Xavier has been off to, though? And is this kind of the way, you brought him in, sort of what you envision as far as what he's been doing back there to this?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the 2 picks in 2 games, but it's more than that. He's coming up in run support. He's helping some of the young guys in their checks. I mean, he's playing next to a rookie who I also think is off to a pretty good start. And he's kind of being the captain back there, the quarterback there, and he's done a really nice job with that. But that's exactly what I expected. He's a great football player. He can tackle, he can cover, he can play in deep zones. We blitzed him last game too, so he's a very versatile player, and I think he's off to a really, really good start, and I'm very, very happy that he's here.
Jeff, you mentioned earlier some of the runs that Levis has had. I know, you talked about the guys, with a, I guess, non-traditional rush idea against these first 2 quarterbacks. So are they looking to try to cut it loose a little more? Do they still need to be wary of a guy like Levis in the scrambles? Like, what are your thoughts there going into this?
Yeah, I think there's give and take. I mean, if you look at him, he's a guy that can run. I mean, he's had a bunch of yards on a bunch of carries, and he's had a bunch of big scrambles. So regardless who you play, I mean, you got to be aware of who's back there. Do we want to cut it loose more? Absolutely. I mean, I want to cut it loose every play if we can. I mean, I'd love to do that. It's just you can't be reckless either. I mean, you got to play sound defense. You got to have a plan. You got to have rush lanes. You got to have rules where if he does keep the ball, you have an answer for it. So all of a sudden he doesn't pull one and pop it for 60 yards because you're just go, go, go. But yeah, we have to be aggressive, and there's times where we need to be more aggressive. But then there's times where, we got to make sure we do our job and we make sure that we don't have guys popping out on us and running for 30 yards on a key third down of the game.
Jeff, when you're rotating Stokes and Valentine, is that something you determine that rotation before the game, or are you looking for certain things in the game to determine, when to put guys in and when to take them out?
Yeah, no, that was determined before the game, and it was communicated before the game. CV's a guy that, and you guys know, he's missed a lot of the training camp, and we thought he was having a great training camp before he was injured. And then he came back, and we saw him practicing better and better and making some plays in practice, and we thought he deserved to play. The more guys that can have a role, I think that's really, really important. And when they go out and they practice and they compete and they're doing all the little things right, if they show that they deserve to play, we got to find a way to get them on the field. And we felt strongly about that, and I thought he did some really nice things in the game. He was physical. He came down to run hard a few times. He made a few good plays, a few good tackles. I thought he covered pretty well. The more guys you can get involved in those positions, you're going to need them. I mean, you're going to need those guys. And then, again, as we go and we develop, we can have packages where they're all in. And that's a start for him that I'm excited he got some playing time.
Jeff, is that I know you haven't been everywhere, but is that a common philosophy? I was asking LaFleur about it earlier in the week. Like, I know this isn't middle school sports where everybody gets to play, but it does seem like you guys, on both sides of the ball, find ways to get more guys involved than maybe, at least I've seen historically.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question to ask Matt, like you did, his philosophy on it. Ours on defense right now is if guys deserve to play and they can help us win, we're all in this thing together on defense, every guy in that room and every coach in that room. So if we can get other guys developed and experienced and playing and keep some guys fresh, it's a long season. And we want to peak at the right time and make sure we have other guys ready to play. I mean, I think it's important that we continue to do that. And I think as you watch this over the next few weeks, you're going to continue to see that, and you'll probably see more guys have different roles and different packages as we can really get this thing going. But for week 2 right now, I think the coaches are doing a really good job of coaching and teaching the fundamentals, the scheme, and then getting guys involved. I mean, do I believe like every guy should play just because they're here? No. But if a guy deserves to play and he can help us win, I think that's our job to get him out there. And I want to continue to do that.
What do you think of what Evan gave you in the 20 snaps he had on Sunday?
I thought he did some really nice things in his first game. Like I said last week, and we probably should have played him in that first game. And, I thought he earned that, and we gave him some of those reps. I thought he had a really nice break in 2 minutes where he almost had an interception on the first one where we slipped on the corner route to our left. And then obviously he had the play on the Hail Mary at the end of the game. There's some plays where you can see he had it in practice, he knew it, and he just, he's close, right? And I think as the game went and he got comfortable, he started to see things faster and better. And I think that's going to come with time. So you take a rookie who hadn't played an NFL game, and it's home in Lambeau, and I think he did a nice job. And I'm excited to see more of him. He's a good football player.
You guys are excited about Cooper after week 1, then Eric had the game they did in week 2. Can you get those guys more snaps, recognizing that you're going to play nickel, so there's only so many snaps to go around?
Yeah, there's only so many snaps to go around, and I'm very grateful we didn't play 80 snaps again like we did week 1. So I'll definitely err on the side of playing less snaps every game if we can, and if Matt wants to run the ball 54 times a game, I'll be the first one to congratulate him after for doing so. But yeah, there's only so many plays and there's only so many packages, but we need to play him more. And again, I think you'll see when we're here next week, I think you'll see his numbers go up, and we're starting to find out there's certain things that he does really well, and we need to take advantage of that. I thought Eric, honestly, what did Eric play, like 8 or 9 plays? Yeah, you guys got the numbers pretty good. For the 8 plays that he played, holy cow, what a game he had. That TFL he made when they checked the speed option, and we kicked that thing backward, and that's one of the biggest plays of the game right there. And then the interception that he had on the seam ball. And then I think you guys probably saw the one that he ran down when we had the edge set. We kind of jumped inside. They hit us on a toss on the perimeter, and he came running back. No, it's a screen. He came out on the screen, and he came in. Do you see the ball laying on the sideline? Do you see the effort that he had and the way he punched it? That's how the guy practices. And we should have gotten that ball, too.
What was the key for Eric on the interception, being able to make that play?
I think in this situation, I think this is a good question for him, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think in the situation, the formation, he had a really good jump on what was about to come, but it was his technique on that route that he had. He had a seam, and a lot of guys in that coverage, they'll go straight back, and they'll start to widen, and if you do that, you're going to get hit inside. And it was beautiful. It was like slow motion watching up there. He went straight back. The guy bent. He bent inside and matched it, and the quarterback's probably anticipating him widening and throwing inside, and he just went right up and made the play. So it looked probably easier than it was, but it's because he played it so well.
Just a general defensive question. What's the challenge, the hard part of facing a tight end who's a complete player?
Yeah, again, good question. You're talking about if a guy's able to line up wide, come back in the box and block, and then line up in the backfield and do all those stuff. Yeah, he creates mismatches, right? It's who are you going to put on him? You're going to put a linebacker on him? You're going to put a safety on him if you want to cover him. And then all of a sudden, if he can line up and it looks like a spread out game, but now all of a sudden he's in the backfield and creates like a 2-back game. So you're defending a lot of different things. So do you want to have bigger people on the field or smaller people on the field? Do you want to get an athlete out there to cover him? Or when he comes in the backfield, do you want a bigger guy to play the run? So it creates versatility in what they can do with him on the field. I'm assuming you're talking about Tennessee's tight end?
But
Okay. Just in general, anytime you get an athletic tight end who can play like a wide receiver and is good enough to block, is an inline tight end, and is athletic enough to do all the sifts and fullback stuff, you got a pretty good one.
Hey Jeff, where is Quay 2 games into your system compared to where he could be eventually? I know you really like how he fits what you do, but he's had some moments, right?
Yeah, we've all had moments. I mean, I've had moments. I love where Quay's at, and not where Quay could be, where Quay is going to be. I love that even more. There's some plays you turn on now, and you're like, wow. I mean, look at that. That's exactly what we're talking about. You're also talking about a guy who's playing in a totally different scheme, right? And he's seeing a lot of different things for the first time. And the way he works, I mean, the way he practiced today, I mean, I'm really excited for where he is going to be. And I'm very, very pleased with him right now and very confident in him.
Hey Jeff, real quick, you were talking about the ball lying on the ground after Eric.
Yeah, we should got that one.
Do you want your guy the closest guy to that, to kind of keep it in bounds, or does he just have to?
I want it in bounds. I mean, yeah. I'm sure he was trying to get it. I mean, their guy did a nice job now. That's why you run to the ball. You see their guy run? That's why you run, right? Like if that guy wasn't running to the ball, we would have gotten the ball. But in that situation, yeah, absolutely. Running, because if any part of your body, if any part of your body's out of bounds, it's out of bounds, right? So you got to do everything you can to get on it or swat it back and give us another chance. But yeah, I can just picture it lying right there. You guys good? All right, thanks.
Know how you can create a running game plan against a defense that knows you're going to run and have it be successful.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that worked last Sunday, which was cool. But every week's a different week, and the better you do in a certain area, like running the ball, that's the more that your opponents are going to focus on that. And so we just got to make sure we keep going. We don't get stale. We keep working. We dig at those details that we got to improve on because there's still a lot of yards left out there, I felt like, and we could have been better than what we were.
So I know you have to get ready for this week's game, but I'm fascinated by what your process must have been because looking at all the misdirections and the fakes and the motions and the way you dressed up those runs, what is like the mad scientist? You guys are all sitting in a room coming up with different things to gussy up your plays, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that for sure, and a lot of it, the big concern for me, like going into that game plan, was could Malik handle all the moving parts of the game plan, and not necessarily him actually throwing the ball, just making sure the motions were good, were timed up, and all that. So. It's a testament to him, just like his focus and his work throughout that week. That was pretty impressive because there was a lot of things that could have, you snap the ball early or you mess up an exchange, you go the wrong way or something. Like for a new guy to come in here and do that, that's what I was most impressed with, was just the operation of the game and how he just executed the game plan. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's hard in this league to just line up, be static, and beat people. Like, you really got to have an unbelievable roster to do things like that. Now, I think we have good players, but you just have to keep the defense guessing. You have to, make them look one way, go the other. You know what I mean? Just to distract them for a split second so you can find seams in defenses and whatever it is. That's just something that I believe in and I like to do.
Most of that stuff, all that motion stuff with Jade in the backfield, all the different things he did, was that rep last week for the first time, or were those like in your installs?
No, yeah, those are things, throughout camp we put in and do, and it's not necessarily like you may do like 1 or 2 plays a day, but then once you go into a game plan, you're like, all right, we're going to do this package or whatever it is. But yeah, anytime you got a weapon like Jaden Reed and you can move him around and give him the ball or use him as bait, I guess, it's always fun to have guys like that for sure.
Every offensive lineman wants to have a game like that where they just run the ball relentlessly, right? But in that kind of heat,
Yeah.
is it harder to run, more strenuous to run block 53 plays or pass block 53 plays?
I'm sure physically it's probably a lot harder to do the running, the run blocking. But yeah, I don't think many O-linemen are going to complain about that. That's for sure. So no, it was fun to watch. It was really impressive by those guys.
Back to Jaden being bait. Have you used a guy like that much since you've been in here? And is he at such a point in his career? It's a young career, I get it, but has he done so much that teams like just have to stare at him because he's done?
Yeah, I think you've seen throughout his year plus of him being here that when he gets the ball in his hands, he can do some pretty special things. So that's something as a defense you have to know where he's at all times, I'm sure. And yeah, I like getting him the ball. It's fun to watch him run around and make plays and stuff. So yeah, he's a fun player. I'm glad we got him.
Tanner, you probably started camp thinking you'd have AJ and Marshawn behind Josh, and now you have neither of them for now at least. What do you think of what you have behind Josh, or does he have to carry the ball 32 times again?
Well, the one thing, like with Emmanuel, he's whatever we've asked him to do so far, he's done a really good job. He had some good pass protection plays in the last game. Anytime we hand him the ball, he runs hard, he protects the ball. So I'm happy with what Emmanuel's done, and I'm excited to see him as the season progresses, how good he can be. Chris has done a good job in practice the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, he's a guy that's played in some games, so it's not like it's his first time that he's going to be out there doing stuff. So, yeah, I'm excited about those guys.
How will you know if Jordan's ready to go or not?
I think he'll tell us. Yeah, I mean, if he shows up Sunday and he's ready to go, then great. If not, then we'll go with Malik. That's kind of our approach.
Where does Kraft rank on the completeness scale? Is he already what you would call a complete tight end?
Yeah, I would say so. Certainly does a good job, making plays with the ball in his hand. He's a hard guy to tackle. He's got a good feel, in routes, just finding open windows and stuff like that. Good hands. And then in the run game, that's his biggest thing is he's just done such a tremendous job at the point of attack, blocking. So yeah, I would say he's becoming that for sure.
Ed, was that base there as far as the blocking with him when he came in, or is that something you've seen like over this last year and a half now?
Yeah, he's definitely improved in that. That was one thing, when he showed up that he really needed to work on, and he has. To his credit, he's done a great job, and he just keeps getting better as we progress.
Have you had much of a feel for what Jordan can handle or can't handle at this point?
Yeah, I mean, he's limited right now, and, we're kind of just moving forward that way.
For a shot.
Yeah. Nice try. I respect that. Yeah.
We have heard that word once or twice this week. Can you help, without getting yourself in trouble, help me understand how you get 2 quarterbacks ready? Because you don't, as you stand there right now, unless you're really doing a great job of hiding it, you don't know who is going to start on Sunday. So how on earth, especially when they're at 2 vastly different places, how the heck do you get them ready?
Yeah, I think the good thing, with Jordan is it's not like he hasn't played before. He's got a great base of knowledge and all that stuff. So whatever he can do, he does. And then you give the rest to Malik and say, all right, bud, here we go. And these are your plays. And just get him going. And, every good thing is he had a game plan now. And you have some of the similar stuff. And then you have new things. So it's not like everything's new this week. You just keep building on that foundation every week. And as the season progresses for him, it should get easier and easier and become more familiar. So, yeah, that's the big challenge of coaching.
During your playing days, did you ever throw up on the field during a game?
Yes. Yeah, not on the ball, but I definitely threw up on the field. The one impressive thing, I don't ever remember throwing up and then doing a play immediately after That was very impressive. I've seen a nose tackle throw up on the ball. That was like a shade puke on the center's hand. Yeah, that was like diabolical right there. But I've never seen a center actually do it, so that was a first for me. But I respect that.
When did you see
It
that?
was in college.
Was it in college?
Yeah, Michigan. So.
You know, you I'm sure you guys say you can double anybody anytime you want, you know, on the offensive line. But what does Tennessee do with Simmons to try to get him one-on-one?
Simmons is really good. I think it's harder in the pass game to double, like when you have like a guy like Simmons or Aaron Donald when they play, you know, an interior position, a 3 technique. Like you can slide at them, but there's certain instances where, you know, they give you 5 across, they force you to, you know, go one-on-one pass protection, stuff like that, and that's where those elite players, you know, they make their money. And he is definitely an elite player. He plays with a great motor. He's got excellent talent, all the physical tools, and yeah, he's going to be a problem that we have to understand where he's at.
Obviously, your run game was great last week by the final numbers, but if you look at the second half, it was a slug there. What did they do, and B, I guess more importantly, what do you need to clean up in that regard?
Yeah, I think, you know, the thing in the second half is some penalties and then just like focusing on our fundamentals, focusing on finishing blocks, all that stuff. But yeah, it was just kind of a tale of 2 different halves. It was pretty weird when you looked at like the stat line for sure.
I know your focus is on getting Malik ready for whatever he has to do. I'm just curious, you were here, speaking of being a player, you were here when Aaron was sitting behind Brett, right? And then you obviously were here to see Jordan sit behind Aaron. You know, it seems from the outside that maybe Tennessee was thinking about doing that with Malik, right, behind Tannehill for a while, and instead things play out the way. When you look at what you've seen from him in your time around him, do you find yourself, I don't want to say wondering, but can you see that there's some talent there that maybe if this guy had gotten the time the way Jordan did, that maybe he'd be in a very different place?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about anything that happened at Tennessee because I was not there and I have no idea. All I know is I agree. You definitely see talent with Malik. He comes in and his mindset has been awesome. You know, there's no bad blood or hard feelings or you know, he doesn't have like a chip on his shoulder or angry. He just comes in every day, wants to learn, wants to just do his job, and yeah, it's been pretty fun to see so far, and you know, I've been really impressed with him. Okay, thanks guys. See you.